right, welcome to English 1000, formerly known as English 2. If for some reason you struggle with English in some capacity, or you find that you need extra help or more support, I would really suggest taking English 1000 and E. I'm not quite sure what the E stands for in my head. It sounds like extra support, and I would highly suggest that if you need the extra help. I can do as much as I can on my end. I give you everything. But if you need more support, definitely go there. That's what it's there for. Okay, so otherwise, this is English 1000, again, formerly English 2, with me, Kylie and Bromley. I am your instructor. As a note, two things. One, this is a 4-unit class, so assume that you have like a regular class with a lab, okay? It is a lot of reading. It's a lot of work, but there's a reason for that. And in order to be a good composer, you have to do a lot of reading and application. That's the biggest thing here. That being the case, also, this class is not going to be your average English class. Maybe you've had an English class similar to mine, but it's going to be different in the way in which I help you understand who you are as composers and why we compose the way that we do. We will have 3 different units. As we move along, I will explain a little bit more why we do what we do. But as you're doing the reading and you're doing the work, you go, oh, I see now. This makes sense. This is why we do it this way. That being the case, of our 3 units, our first unit is going to be identity and experience. This is the part where you might go, what are we doing? Why are we talking about this stuff? We gotta do it, because in order to understand who you are as a composer, you have to understand your experiences, you have to understand your identity, and it goes and creates composition. All right. That might not make sense to you, and you might be like, what is this hippy dippy stuff? Go with me on this one. I promise you it'll make sense. It's one of those things that actually applies even outside of the classroom. Okay. And then you kind of learn a lot about yourself and go, I did not know that. Thank you. So that's my hope of teaching it this way. So our first unit is identity and experience. Our second is going to be critical thinking and literacy. And this is where we apply certain things on how we can do certain readings, or how we could critically think about the work that we are reading about. For those of you who don't like the identity and experience unit, you might really like the critical thinking and literacy unit, because it's 2 different kind of ways of thinking. That being the case, our third unit is going to be composition, where we put it all together and you create a final research project. So anyway, that's what those are. That's what the class is going to look like. Nothing scary, just a lot of reading and application and videos. I do have as many as I can. I believe the composition and literacy won't have as many of videos of play posits, but there are videos within the actual module that I highly suggest, because in order to succeed in this class, got to watch everything, got to read everything, take the quizzes, and do the assignments, okay? So watch the videos that I have for you, especially things that you might just want to scroll through, because the answers to the quizzes and the things that I'm looking for are going to be in those videos, okay? I'm going to try and make these quicker. I just have to go through all the details, so this one might be a little bit longer. All right, that being the case, let's get into the actual nitty-gritty of class. The biggest component of this class is the fact that I need the human in the work. I need the human in the work. And the reason why I say that is the biggest thing that I really am very will not accept, no, is plagiarism. Now, plagiarism pops up in a handful of different ways. I'm going to kind of explain them to you. But I really need to make you understand when I say this, I do not accept plagiarism. And I'll explain what those will look like. So the first part of plagiarism that pops up often is invalid or inaccurate citations. If I cannot find the source, if I can't find it, if it's made up, that's plagiarism. That doesn't exist. And it happens sometimes, especially if you're trying to use AI. We'll address AI in a second. But if you're just making up the sources, they obviously don't exist. I check that. I know it's, oh, she looks at my sources. Yes, I do. I go deep, and I make comments, and I make corrections, and I'm very, very particular about citations. That's why it's like the number 1 part of plagiarism is, if you're going to cite sources, I need you to cite where they are coming from and where you're getting your information, because otherwise, technically you're making it up if you can't show me where you got it. And I don't accept things that you just make up, right? Okay. Also, another part of plagiarism is Grammarly or AI work. Now, I know you're going, well, Grammarly, what? I don't understand. On my end, what I'm noticing, because I definitely look for plagiarism, I definitely search for that, like it pops up. If anything gets flagged on my end for plagiarism, I will address it. Even if I'll ask you questions. I'm not saying it's plagiarism, but I'm gonna ask you questions because it's popping up on my end. And oftentimes people will take their work and they'll put it through Grammarly, and Grammarly will correct it. The problem is on my end, it shows up as AI. And I'm so sick of grading AI shit, excuse my language. Like, I cannot anymore. I just want to read human work. Well, I see AI and I know it, and I'm like, ugh, I don't care what a machine says. I don't care. I want to hear you. I don't care about spelling or words that are misspelled or grammatically incorrect. I don't care. That's not what this class is about. This class is about humanity. Literally, you're going to see how important humanity and being a human is to me. And I know you're like, wow, you're getting a little wound up. I am getting wound up. So please note that when I say no AI, I like mean it. And I have no qualm. I do reserve the right to give zeros if it pops up on my end. If it looks fishy, I'm probably going to ask you some questions. So don't bother with AI. It's bullshit. I don't want that. That is not human. All right. And I know, like, if you want to learn how to use AI in those machines, that's awesome, but it's not for this class, because this class is composing. It's using your own critical thinking to compose. I just need to find out who you are as a human. It's hard to fail this class if you do your own work. Seriously, like, I'm not picking on spelling. I'm not picking on grammar. I might make notes, but I'm not dinging you for it, right? Like, I don't care about that. I care about the work from you. Okay, so please keep that in mind. That's the whole goal here, is the human essence of this class. And I repeat this often throughout. Again, please don't put your stuff, even if you wrote it and you put it through AI or Grammarly, I don't know why I keep using quotes, but if you're putting it through Grammarly or AI to like fix it, don't do that. I don't want that. You can do that for any other class. That's not what I'm looking for. I just want real answers. That's it. So if I'm seeing it, I'm going to mark it. You're probably going to see a 0. You're going to freak out. You're going to be mad. But I have to do it because I have to say, hey, this is what's showing up on my end. So if I'm reaching out to you, and sometimes I don't, but sometimes I make a note of it. And after a while, if it keeps popping up, I'm like, I can't take any more of your work. It's popping up too much on my end. So please be mindful of that. And also, oftentimes it hallucinates. It brings up weird things. It happens all the time. I rarely ever see AI get it right, ever. At least in my classes. I don't know about your other ones. Maybe they don't care, but for me, please don't. That also being the case is if your work is too similar to your peers, which very much happens when you use like AI or ChatGPT or whatever, I get very similar answers. And I can't explain that, and I don't know how to. I've been doing this for so long, you guys. I've been teaching for so. I've been pre-AI, so when things pop up, I'm like, okay, you guys, it's way too similar. And there might be a time where, maybe something does seem similar. I'm not saying it's machine made, but I will reach out and be like, your stuff looks awfully similar to someone else's. I will say something. I'm not accusing you. I'm just letting you know. And it doesn't mean it was you. Maybe someone else copied your work. We never know. I don't know. I'm not going to judge. But I will, well, I kind of will judge. I'm going to tell you. Don't do it. All right. So if your stuff is showing up too similar to your peers, or if you're trying to rewrite someone's work, I've just got to call it out. All right. So that's another form of plagiarism. Also, one more form of plagiarism is really vague answers. Not just that, but it drives me nuts. Because when I see a really vague answer, it's just telling me you didn't do the work. It shows me also that you didn't really read what the work was saying. You didn't quote it. You kind of gave some wishy-washy answers, but you weren't direct. And you're going to see me time and time again. I need specific answers. I need specific answers. I will beg it of you. And at some point, if I'm not getting it, I have to give you a 0 because you're not giving me specific. So when we talk about reading, please make sure that if you're like me and I'm not a big, huge reader like I am, well, I mean, okay, that's probably a lie. Look at all the books behind me. But oftentimes, because I have to read so much, especially when it comes to articles, here's a quick tip. read the title, read maybe the first lead into it, read those subtopics, right? And then get a general idea of what they're saying. And if it's something you're going to need to pull from, then you hone a little deeper. You don't have to read word for word, except maybe when we're talking about, like, we're going to have a David Sedaris or a Lois Ann Yamanaka's reading from Wild Meat and the Bully Burger. So there's some stories you have to read all the way through. That's something I need you to do for specifics. So again, when I ask for specifics, that's what I'm asking for. Okay, so again, it's okay if you're like, it's too much reading. That's okay. Just read how you need to read. If you kind of need to skim a little bit, and then go back and pull out the specifics to help you answer the question. So anyway, I know it's a long video. I just have to give you all of this so there's no surprises later. No surprises. I hope you're not fast forwarding through this. All right, so the best way to avoid any kind of plagiarism, do your own work, be very, very specific with your answers, make sure you're using the readings, that's what I ask for anyway, use quotes, make sure you cite it correctly, pretty easy, the last name of the author and a page number if there is one, and then make sure you do not put your work through AI or ChatGPT. Don't put your work through that. I'm not looking for perfection here. Don't. Again, if it pops up, I gotta say something, so... I know, we're living in a weird world right now. Just go with me, trust yourself. That's the whole point of this. The whole goal is for you to trust yourselves and trust me. I know you've probably had times where you've had English instructors who just destroy your paper and break your heart, and that's not my goal. I give a lot of feedback, and my feedback is to guide you. It's to let you know what I'm seeing on my end. Sometimes I'm having fun and I'm like making jokes with you. Sometimes I'm kind of serious, like, well, we gotta, let's be mindful, or whatever the case may be. So that's what I do. I'm here to guide you, not to punish you. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Unless I see AI, and then I'm gonna punish you. Okay. All right. So for homework is pretty similar, pretty easy. You're gonna have quizzes. There's always reading, and there's gonna be reading responses and discussions. If it says reading response or discussion, those are pretty much the same thing, in the sense of you're gonna be writing something and then you're gonna be responding to your peers. My biggest thing is please respond to your peers. I can't give you full credit on an assignment if you're not following through with your interactions with your peers. A part of composition is interacting with one another and the work that you're providing. So if you're like, oh, I get it. I've taken so many online classes. I understand how you're like, oh, I got to respond to these peers. I hate it. I know. And I don't mean it just for you to check off a box. I want you to get in there and kind of read your peers' works and kind of see what other people are doing. The goal of composition is to understanding the humans on the other side. That's what I'm trying to find out here, and I'm trying to get you to do the same. So I know what the peer response is. I get it. I'm there. But it's a part of what we're trying to get to be a little bit more human in a world that's trying to become anti-human, if that makes sense. So we will have about 8 large assignments. There's the narrative assignment plus the rough draft. Obviously, rough draft comes before the narrative. We have peer reviews of the rough drafts. These will all be taking place in Google Docs. You're going to hear about that later in the assignments. We will have 2 source summaries. That first source summary is from Butte College's library's online database only. Okay, that first one. The second one will be open up to other things, but we will get there when we get there. That's not till the end of the semester. We will also have a final research paper. You get to pick the topic, but I'm going to guide you. All right, there's a few topics I'm like, I can't do anymore. If I have to do that one more research topic, I'm going to punch myself in the face. Anyway, so rough draft of the research paper as well. And then you're going to actually do a final paper presentation. So you're going to do, I used to work for a UCLA nuclear fusion department. So when I worked for a UCLA nuclear fusion department, we would have a lot of people, scientists who would come from all over the world, ITER, you name it. It was just the coolest thing. What they would do is they would write papers, they'd do all this research, and they'd have the paper, right? But they had to present their findings to a group at UCLA, and we get to be a part of that. And so what you're going to be doing is presenting the findings that you get to your peers. It'll actually be to me, but imagine it's to your peers. It's to, people who, really want to learn and know this. And maybe I'll open it up to where you can turn it into a, something that you can show your peers. Because it's online, it's a lot different, and I don't want to force you in the finals to have to peer review or not peer review, respond to your peers. So anyway, I get it. All right. When it comes to Canvas, I would highly suggest don't use your phone. Yeah, please don't use your phone. And the reason, well, okay, let me rephrase that. You can use your phone, but not really turning in assignments, and be very careful because the phone misses things. I know. And I get it. Sometimes you might have to use it to upload something. All right. I'm not saying I'm going to be obviously behind you looking over your shoulder on what you're using for class. But oftentimes when students try and turn stuff in, oh, my phone wasn't working, or you know what I mean? The phone, it's a good for the app for only so much, but the desktop gives a better user experience. And there are all kinds of different places throughout. There's Butte, there's Glen, there's the Chico Center. Any of these places, there's Durham, there's Glen, there's Chico. I mean, I get it. We're in a world of everything's on our phones. Just, you know, I don't know how to explain that. But you get it, right? Like we're learning here. And I maybe you have a different way of learning than the way I've learned. Like, hell, y'all, I barely had computer. I'm so old. We barely had computer. I was using Oregon Trail. Like when I was in school, we were doing Oregon Trail was like our computer games. That was it. That's all we had. We didn't even type. It was always handwritten. So I do a lot of old school things. And the reason why I do a lot of old school things is because there's certain things that help us learn as human beings. When we look eye to paper, please take as many notes as you can with your hands, because it is really important for this and your hands to do that, because that's how you remember things. If you're just sitting here watching me and you're like, meh, it's probably not going to work. So what I'll probably often say as I'm giving a lecture is like, please take handwritten notes. I'm not going to ask you to scan them and turn them in. I really, really considered that, but that's just one more thing for me to grade. And I love myself too much for that. And I love you, and I don't want to do that to you. But please be in that habit. So that is something that I will probably say in the future. That being the case also, which I realize I got to include this, we will be having reflections. There's going to be 5 reflections throughout the class, and I don't want you to panic with the reflections. The reflections are just you to monitor where you're at in class. I know you might feel like it's busy work, and I try very hard to avoid busy work. Everything I have is with intention, and the reflection, the goal here is I really want you to pause and go, what am I doing to learn? Because I give you as much. I probably give you too damn much. I give you everything. But I need you to do work on your end. And in order for you to learn, sometimes we have to reflect on what we are doing to ensure that we are learning. So that's what the reflections are for. And honestly, if you've gotten this far in the video, it's an easy 20 points. You literally just talk about how you feel in class. I don't care what you write. I'm giving you the answer to that. So if you've gotten this far, reflections are really easy. And, I'd rather you not be kind of a smartass in there. Please don't be a smartass. Maybe tell me where you're at. Tell me what you're struggling with. I have you ask a bunch, answer a bunch of questions, but maybe you got shit going on in your life. Like, I don't have time to reach out to every single student. While I'd love to, and when I'm standing in class, I can read the room, but I'm not standing here. I rely on you to kind of help me where you're at. So that being the case, really quick, I know this is kind of getting a little long. Something I really want you to help me out with. Sorry, I got a little loud there. With this class, you're going to notice this is in some of the questions to the thing about class responsibilities. You have your responsibilities and I have my responsibilities. And for you, your responsibilities, one of the biggest ones is communicate with me. If something's not working, if a quiz isn't working, if a rating's not popping up, if your play posit is glitching, I don't know what's going on in your ends because I'm not there. You have to communicate with me. So please, your first responsibility is to communicate with me. Also, your second responsibility is read my communications. Y'all, I try very hard not to inundate you with more messages. I really try not to. So what I try and do is once a week, I'll give an announcement, and I try and do everything I can in that announcement to give you all the answers. If something's going down or if I need something from you, it's always in the announcements. Why I say don't use your phone is when you go to the app, they see the announcement, and if you're like me, I have about, I can't see, 4,436 unopened emails. I cannot with the emails. It's too much. I get you're probably the same. So I give you one announcement. If I give you 2, that's because that second one's like, oh shit, y'all need to hear this. So check your announcements. But when you're on your phone, you might see a little thing. You don't want to read the announcement. I promise you, it is important. I'm not reaching out to you because I'm just, for the sake of it. I'm doing it because it's important. It'll be once a week. If it's twice a week, I'm like, oh, shit, better check my announcements. So, all right. Also, turn your assignments in on time. Late work is docked 5% for every single day. 5% every single day. That adds up. That really, really adds up. Canvas takes it off. Canvas will take it off. You turn it in, I grade it, loink, it'll knock it. So I just have to tell you that. I get it. Sometimes shit happens. You're like, oh, I'm trying to get it in. Late work is late, okay? Also, just as a heads up, some assignments will lock once they're done, and that's it. They will locky poo, and they're done. Bye-bye. So please, 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 please be mindful of your time management. I don't know if you're ever taken an online class. Sometimes it's hard. You're just like, what day is it? What's happening? I give you a calendar. I try and make everything as, as smooth as I can. Smooth, you know what I'm saying? So please make sure you're paying attention to the timeline. Majority of everything is due Fridays and Sundays, and Fridays and Sundays. So Fridays and Sundays are pretty much always going to be due dates, except there's at least 2 or 3, maybe 4 assignments that are going to be due on a Monday. Those are going to be, I believe, peer reviews are probably, not peer, yeah, I think peer reviews are going to be due on Monday. And there's something else that's due on a Monday. Oh, your topic. I think it's your research topic will be due on a Monday. So those are like the only days really things are due. But on that note, don't wait till the last minute. Don't wait, because sometimes Canvas it will shut it off or whatever the case may be. So please be mindful of that. All right. These are one of your responsibilities. Like I can't do all the things. I'm doing my best, but these are what you're going to need to do. Make sure you're using the lecture and the books. I say book. We don't have a book in this class, but the lectures, the videos, any of the readings that we have, any articles, anything like that to answer any of the questions, right? So I give you everything. It's not all in one space. You kind of have to go through everything to get it. Take it all and put down. This is why I highly suggest you take notes so you know what the answers are. Okay. Let's see. Also, you have to take responsibility for your own learning. I know that sucks, right? I can't do it for you. I can give you everything in the world, but I can't learn for you. So, I mean, you're paying for the class and I'm giving you, I'm giving you gold. I'm giving you the best stuffs in the world. I promise you. And you just got to take it and be like, oh, this is for me. Thank you. And then you use it and you make big, beautiful things. So it's your responsibility to learn. It really is. So if you fail the class, you didn't turn anything in. That's for sure. You probably didn't follow my instructions. I got rubrics. I have everything. Like my grading, it's all in rubrics. It's really hard to miss. I try and show you everything that I'm looking for. Or you were plagiarizing. If you're plagiarizing, you get a bunch of zeros. So, it's your responsibility to pay attention to the things that I ask of you and not do things I tell you or ask you not to do. All right. Okay. And then again, use the tools I give you. I give you as much as I possibly can. I have you really cool tools. Brainology is my favorite. Please take Brainology all throughout your life. You've probably done it before in other classes, but we'll do it next in our next assignment. Brainology is the key. And also, lastly, please be your own advocate. You got to be your own advocate in the sense of, again, if something's missing and you're like, meh, I don't know that. You got to tell me. Like, I cannot read what's on the other end. And I try so hard, y'all. I'm going through and I'm clicking links. I'm doing everything I can. But, sometimes things fall through crack. Got to let me know. Be your own advocate. Ask the questions. Let me know. Oftentimes students will do that. They're like, I got this question. And if you have a question, maybe someone else has it too. You're not alone. It might kind of feel like that because it's online, but I promise I'm here. There's other students. If you got a question, let me know. Okay. And then really quick for me, I'm going to scroll here. Let's see here. Sorry. My responsibility, I'm going to communicate with you as best I can. I'm going to grade according to both rubrics and the assignment as it is. Like I have an assignment. This is what I ask of you. That's how I grade it. If it's missing, I can't give you credit for it. I'll give you every tool and material I possibly can to make you successful. Everything's in the reading. Everything's in the lecture. It's all there. You just got to do the stuff. So if you're not finding it, reach out to me. Okay. I will be following both class and Butte College policies. I will be following my own policy. So if you're like, oh, that's not fair, I'm like, I gotta follow it. So please keep that in mind as we move forward. If you're getting zeros on things, or if I'm asking you questions, again, if I'm asking you questions on something, it is not accusing you. That's not the thing. I just have to ask so I know where I'm coming from and where you're at. That because I'm not there. I can't make assumptions, but I will ask questions. Okay, so keep that in mind. If something's popping up and I'm like, I don't know what this is, I'm going to ask you. Okay, so it's not me being a dick. I'm trying not to be. I'm a very nice person, I promise. It might not come off in my writing. I got a resting bitch face. I look like a bitch all the time, but I'm not. I promise. I'm really fun and nice. I mean, take my English 11. I play the uke, for goodness sake. I'll try and see if I can play the uke for you in some ways, but I don't know if you need it in this class. Anyway, I'm available as I can possibly be. So if you reach out and you're like, hey, I need blah blah, I try and get back to you as best I can. Weekends are a little harder. I'll be honest with you. I've had to start kind of taking weekends. Like, I'm not saying I don't respond on the weekends. That's I do sometimes, but you got it on all cases. Give me 24 to 48 hours. If for some reason I'm not getting back to you like soon enough, for some reason, you can email me again. But you also have to respect the fact that I'm doing my best as I possibly can with 4,436 emails. 4,400, yeah, that's a lot of emails. So sometimes I do get inundated and it might take me a second, or maybe I just don't have the answer right away. So be kind and understanding, as I will try and be vice versa. But please always reach out. Please always reach out. I'm not trying to ask you, well, I'm not going to answer. I will always answer. And sometimes it's really quick. So sometimes I'm real quick. Sometimes I'm not. On the weekends, I will be honest. You got to give me a little bit of time because your girl's got to take a break. Okay. And then lastly, I will always try my best to support your learning in every aspect. If you struggle and need more support, I would highly suggest English 1000E. I love all the teachers who do the 1000E. They work very, very, very hard. I'm not saying I don't work hard, but they're much more equipped. Oh, my light just went out. Okay, anyway, we're just going to go with it. Anyway, I tried to cross my legs and I almost knocked down my phone. Anyway, we're about to wrap this up. We're getting over it. That being the case, if you do struggle, please make sure you reach out, to me, or if you feel there's a class that might be better suited for you, please do that. Just real quick, required materials, preferably laptop, desktop, or an iPad, but you can use your phone if you need. Make sure you can access Canvas, obviously. I don't know if that's even possible. We will be using Google Docs at some point. If you're like, I don't know, don't worry, I've got links. I have everything to get you, going on that. Participation, I need you to peer respond. That's kind of your, need you to be a part of in this class. I already went through the assignments, and for attendance, if you're not turning things in, I assume you're not partaking. After census, I cannot drop you. I can't drop you. You have to be your own advocate. You have to drop yourself in class after census. And if you're turning stuff in, I wouldn't know if you mean to drop. So you really do have to be your own advocate in that. Again, it's not like a class where you're not showing up in person, where I'm like, oh, they're not sitting in that seat. I guess they're not showing up anymore. Like, that's different. Unfortunately, online, I'm just guessing at this point. So census comes real quick. If you don't think it's the class for you, again, reach out to your advisor, check with them, and you can figure some things out. I don't know. I don't know if I don't know anything about drops, to be honest with you. I just know what I do on my end, and at the very end of class, unless you drop, you get like a failed withdrawal or something like that. So anywho, that's pretty much that for that. There is CAS. I highly suggest CAS. CAS is a Center for Academic Success, and which I love them. They are fantastic. They have online tutoring. They help you with everything. But I need you to tell CAS. That I refuse to accept AI written work. I need you to tell CAS that. And I don't know if they're pushing for it. I know sometimes, certain people do. I don't in this class. So if CAS is working with you and they say, oh, just put it through an AI generator, y'all be like, my instructor will freak. She's gonna freak out if you do that. So just ask Cass not to offer that as help. So anyway, that's about it for the class as far as I can tell. Grading. Again, biggest thing about grading is be specific. Show me the monies. Show me specifics. That's what I'm looking for. I really want you to show me, like, you pulled the thing and be like, look, I know I read it because look at what I said, what they said, right? This is why I have you quote works. Please don't guess. Please don't guess. I'll ask you questions like, what is this? And again, I'm telling you, AI does the weirdest stuff with their responses. It like makes me angry. I'm like, what even is this? It makes no sense. Especially if I say how we use it in class, the machines will be like, oh, and how we use it in class, and use some weird bullshit thing. I'm like, that's not, what is that? So please make sure you're double checking your work, or reaching out to me if you do have questions. And again, please be very open-minded about some of our conversations. Just because it's not what you believe or think or understand, just work with us, right? And that's all both sides. I try very hard to like go, oh, okay, cool, look, all these different things. This is why we talk about values and understanding, like, everyone has their own life and their own experiences. So, all right, it's just important that we are mindful of that. I think that's it. All right. So again, good luck, have fun. I know this was a long one. I imagine most of my discussions will probably run about 30 minutes. So please make time for that. Sometimes they might go over because I got a lot of stuff sometimes. So they might go up to an hour. Please give that time. Imagine, so again, reason why this is 4 units is because we have got the, sometimes you got to sit and like, this is lecture as if you were in class where you're taking notes. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, that's as best I could do for now. If I remember something, I'm sure I'll send it in an announcement. I'm very excited for this class. I really do love teaching this class. It's great. I love watching what students come up with, especially when we start to dig inside ourselves to figure out who are we as writers, right? That's our narrative assignment. So anyway, good luck, have fun. All right, I'll see you on the other end.